Hi friends and welcome back to Decorate Your Life. Today we have a DIY scrapbook mini album tutorial for beginners. In this tutorial you'll learn how to construct the base and make pocket pages for your scrapbook. Our DIY scrapbook tutorial for beginners is broken down into a video series. Make sure to add our tutorial series to your YouTube playlist so that you can refer to them when you need them. And as always, your subscription, comment and share are appreciated. Give me a thumbs up. Enjoy and happy paper crafting.
Okay, so I'm back with our mini album for beginners, and So what I want to show you is that I have already done the last 2 pages of the mini album, and we are going to do the first 2 pages together. Now, just so that you know, you're going to need your double-sided tape. You're also going to need some Scotch tape and some glue. Plus, if you would like to go ahead and make a notch at the top pocket, I suggest that you get yourself one of these if you don't already have one. It's just a circle hole punch, and the size that I'm using is 1 inch. And of course, you're going to need your tool-in-one. And this is precise glue. I like to use this on intricate die cuts such as this, like so, because it's very fine, very little, and I find that this works just great for those instances. However, I use my regular glue tip on the regular size paper. So, but before we get into this, I want to go ahead and show you how I'm doing this. Now, in last week's tutorial, what I did was I showed you a really easy way on how I like to put the pages together, and this works like a charm for me. So basically what I do is, and I have already added my double-sided tape here and here on both sides of these right here. And so what I do is first I put one down, and then I glue it in place, and then I make the top, I glue it down just like so. And what I like to do is I like to create a pocket. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh yes, I also wanted to show you the cuts that I have done. Now, the base pages, each one of them, the base meaning the white cardstock, each one of them is measuring 8 by 4 1/4. And these, the ones that are actually going to go on top, like so, measure 7 3/4 by 4. So in other words, I'm leaving a 1/4 inch space. Okay. So let's go ahead and take care of that. And what I also have done to make these notches over here, what I've done is I measure this, okay, and the middle, I just make a little mark in the middle on the inside of this cardstock. And what I do is I just mark it off. Alrighty, so let's go with this one first. We have already put the piece of paper, cardstock, onto the white cardstock. Okay, so that has been double-sided tape and glued on. Now, what I have done here, see how it, at the notch, you can see a little bit of color poking through? What I've done is I'm taking my scraps that we did while cutting these papers, I'm taking those scraps and I am gluing them to the inside of these. So see, this was the outside, and then the inside just a little bit. Now, it's not enough that we are gluing things in, because see, I'm creating pockets for each and every single one of them. Now, when you create a pocket, and it's okay to glue this, but here's a tip. If you use Scotch tape and just apply it kind of like on top after you have glued this entire piece, right? Put it down, and you're going to see me do it. You put a little bit of, not a little bit, about this much of Scotch tape. You know, you kind of like eye measure it. And what Scotch tape does is the smoothness of the Scotch tape is going to help this glide back and forth, whatever tags that you use. So let's say you have a really long tag that you're going to use here. As you're pulling the tag, it's not going to get caught in the edges here, okay? It's going to glide smoothly. That's the whole purpose behind the Scotch tape. Okay, I just wanted to point that out to you. So I have this silicone mat there just so that, because I don't want to ruin my board, not board, but you know what I mean. Okay, so basically to get a really good opening, because when you make your scrapbook when you make your scrapbook, you don't want the pages to like just sit up on top and not be able to open all the way. This method will allow your papers or your pages to open all the way, okay? And I really like this method. And so, plus another thing, since these pages are now laying flat, you can always edge the second page, the page that goes before it. You can always kind of like eye it so that way it keeps your pages straight. So I really, really like this method. And this is something that I came up with years ago when I was designing. My first design team actually for Shelly Geigel of JS Hobbies and Crafts. I designed for her, and so my very first year. And I was learning how to make scrapbooks, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so difficult, why is it so difficult for me to do this? And then one day I just started gluing like this, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it this way. Because it works for me. But if you want to do it the traditional method, more power to you. But this way works really well for me. And another, hang on, let me skip on the ads because I'm listening. I like listening to jazz music, like jazz. Okay, so another thing, it's okay to use double-sided tape. But when you're making pockets, it's a good idea to also to not put your double-sided tape all the way to the edge where the paper meets the paper. Use glue, because if you use the double-sided tape right up until the edge, chances are that when you start filling your pockets in with, cards or whatever it is that you want to put in there, they're gonna get stuck with that the edge of the tape. So notice how I have not edged the tape all the way to the edge. I have not placed the tape all the way to the edge, I should say. Okay, so we're gonna go just like so. And not only does the glue give you a little bit of leeway when you are, let's see, where's that other page that I did? Leeway, but it also helps with the with that issue that I had just mentioned. Yeah, I can't think and pull tape at the same time. Now there is something that I forgot to do here. Hang on a second. Okay, yeah, never mind. Okay, this one right here. You know what I forgot to do? See, because my brain is all over the place. I'm going to go ahead. I've already done my mark here. And I'm going to kind of like make sure that it's in the middle. And boom, there we go. Okay, this is the sheet that goes on there. So what I'm going to do now is, see, we already have tape and glue there. So I'm just going to do a tiny little strip, edge as much as I can, but not at the very edge, because then it's going to seep right through, right? And we don't want that to happen. So I'm just applying glue just like that. Okay. And we're going to go there, the very edge. Right there. And use a bone folder or whatever you can get your hands on so that you could flatten it. If there's any air bubbles, you need to flatten those just like that, nice and easy. And over here, I don't know, I can't tell if that is glue or what. See, this is a glue eraser. And usually it does a really great job in erasing glue. I don't know what that was. I'm not worried about it. So you see how nice and easy it folds? I love it. I love it. Okay, so for this one, we are going to do the entire process. Okay, so this is my top page and this is my bottom page. Okay, so what I may wind up doing is speeding up the video so that way you don't have to sit there and watch me glue and, you know, sit there and watch glue dry. Okay, so let me stop talking now, rest my voice, and we're gonna do this first page together. Here we go. Easy does it. And it's this easy to add your pages to your brand new handmade scrapbook album, photo album, or however you want to call it. I know that a lot of the younger generation, millennials, are calling it scrapbooks. We call it mini albums, but we're all talking about the same thing. Okay, there we go. Look at that. And now I'm gonna let it dry for a little bit, and we are gonna move on to the next step, which is pretty much decorating it. My favorite part.